Snuggle up.
I know.
Her? Okay.
Onto my little booty. Oh my. We've got so many followers. Let's go.
Oh.
I know.
I forgot to do that last time.
I don't think we did it last time.
I didn't. I put this on Do Not Disturb.
My podcast is waiting for signal. It should resume shortly. There it is.
Okay, I'm on Wi-Fi. Do Not Disturb.
I'm gonna put me on Do Not Disturb.
Oh. Now. It's doing me dirty, I feel like, personally.
Okay.
It's not dry. You don't? Yeah, I know. That's exactly what I thought.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
This episode is going to be a hot mess.
No. It's going to be so much fun.
You're like, this is my jacket.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Ah, yeah. That was a great reference.
Okay.
Are you ready for it?
I can't see you.
Stop.
We're gonna get through
Fix
this.
it. It's not all about you.
But this
Get the
is.
Mountain Dew bottle out.
What if we did like
Okay, now it's all me.
that?
Don't knock me off this.
Die laughing.
Oh, I'd love that we'd have it on video. Though.
I know.
That would be the best. Okay.
All right. Well,
Good. I told you.
no.
I mean, mine could use a little help too, truthfully.
Why does this work perfect sometimes? And then sometimes
That looks good.
That does look good.
And I like how we're just taking our time. You've shared it on your page. I've shared it on mine.
It's like we said, oh, it's 8:08. Let's get started. It's 8:30.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad.
Oh boy. Let's do it. From national parks
To theme parks. A travel experience. I'm Sheree.
I'm a mess.
Let's go to the park.
Let's go to the park. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? From national parks
To theme parks.
a travel experience.
I'm Sheree.
And I'm Cheyenne.
Let's go to the park.
That was better.
Way better. Our confidence
That was
has improved from the first time we
It
did that.
really has.
Hello, welcome to our live stream on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yes. The Blue Ridge Parkway is a whole lot of things. And it covers a whole lot of ground.
It does.
So we last minute decided that we were actually going to split this into 2 episodes. So today we're going to talk about specifically our trip and what our trip looked like. And then the next time we cover the Blue Ridge Parkway, we will talk about all of the other things you can do driving or camping along the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah. This is a great drive and road trip to do in the fall, and very popular to do in the fall because of the beautiful fall colors in the mountains. So that's exactly when we went. So we are going to start with a quiz, and it's her turn to quiz me.
Yeah.
And I usually struggle. So here we go.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. The first one you're going to get. True or false? The busiest time of year to visit is in the spring.
Oh, usually when you say that, then I get it wrong. False.
False.
Woo!
It is in the fall. It's the fall. True or false? If you drove the entire Blue Ridge Parkway without stopping, it would take you about 15 hours.
False.
That's true.
Really?
That's true.
Wow. It feels like, I mean, I know we stopped, but it feels like we spent a lot longer on the Blue Ridge Parkway than 15 hours.
Years, I feel like, on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah. Wow.
But no, 15 hours.
Okay.
Because the speed limit's like 45 max.
And lots
and
of
it's
curves.
curvy. So just because the speed limit is 45, sometimes you're going 30.
Especially if you're Scott Martin.
Especially if you're my father. Okay, true or false? All 26 tunnels are in Virginia.
False.
That is false. How many tunnels are in Virginia?
Of the 26, 10.
1.
What?
There's just 1.
Wow.
So 26 tunnels, and all of them except 1 are in the North Carolina side.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Okay.
All right. So you blew through those. Multiple choice. How many consecutive years has the Blue Ridge Park... That's not what I meant to say.
Okay.
Because the word consecutive is not supposed to be in there.
Scratch that.
Scratch. How many years... Did you like my scratch?
I was going to do it, but I'm glad you did. Yeah.
How many years has the Blue Ridge Parkway been the #1 visited national park site? 15, 40, 70, 85.
75.
That wasn't an option. But
15, 40.
15, 40, 70, 85.
70.
70 is correct.
Woo!
So they have been following this for 74 years.
Oh.
And of the 74 years, it has been the #1 visited park site. 70 years
Wow.
total. So the 4 years that it was not the #1 was 1949, 2013, 2016, and 2019. So recent.
Odd.
I know. I'm not sure which one beat it. I didn't look that part up. But it averages about 15 million visitors a year. So that's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Which state has the most overlooks? Virginia or North Carolina?
North Carolina?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Good job. You're crushing it. What is the shortest tunnel height? 10.5 feet, 11.5, 13.5, or 14.5?
13.5?
10.5.
Wow.
So,
okay. Oh, because there was one we didn't go under.
I think there was one we didn't go under, and it's because
that was it.
the middle part, I think, was 11 or 12 feet, but the sides are all curved because it's a tunnel, and so the sides are shorter. So the shortest tunnel on the shortest side is 10 feet 6 inches tall.
Wow. I bet that's one that we skipped.
Yeah. So it is tight.
Yeah.
It's a tight tunnel.
That is. Wow.
I know. You did good.
Thanks.
I'm so
I did better than I thought.
You did great.
Okay, let's talk numbers for this park. For this parkway.
Parkway, yes.
There are 8 campgrounds on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yep. There are 3 backcountry campgrounds as well.
Okay, 1 hotel.
There's 1 official visitor center in Asheville, but there's 7 other kind of unofficial visitor center sites. So different gift shops and things, museums that are along the parkway. Those are considered sort of visitor centers.
Okay, cool. There are 5 restaurants.
469 miles.
Wow. 272 overlooks.
Yep.
Wow.
And it touches 4 different national forests.
Wow. Those are pretty impressive numbers.
Those
across
are big
the board.
numbers. Yeah.
272 overlooks.
Yeah. And you believe me and Sheree wanted to stop at every one. We didn't. But we wanted. We attempted to drive the entire length of the parkway. There was a road closure. So we still have like a 2-mile stretch that we have not been on.
Oof.
We will have to get back to that.
We will. Can you imagine if just
it.
you and I traveled together without the boys to bring us down?
Oh my gosh, we would check off everything. We would never sleep. It's like that one time we drove to Charleston and we stopped at like 6 different places on the way there.
Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
Okay, so to give you a little detail about our trip, we went in October of 2020.
We sure did. So our first trip together was also in 2020 when we went to Yellowstone.
Yeah.
And then by October of 2020, we all needed out of the house. So we went camping because you're in your own camper. You have your own bathroom. You have your own everything. You don't have to go to a hotel and run through different things to get to people, run into people. And you also don't have to go into restaurants because your camper has all the food too. So it was a really good trip. We camped for 14 nights. Was it?
I would say so.
And in one camper, it was my mom and dad, me and Tyler, and then Evie, who was a 1.5 years old when we went.
And then in my camper was myself and my husband Blake and our 2 dogs, Boomer and Paisley.
Yep. So we drove. I say we. My dad and Sheree's husband pulled the campers most of the parkway. So we could hit all of the overlooks and go hiking and be self-contained the whole way. They hated it.
They did. They fussed at us quite a bit.
They did fuss at us. Something about it's so foggy I can't see in front of me, but here we are pulling our giant campers down a mountain. But it was fine.
But they love us, and they did it anyways.
They did. So proud.
Because we are checklist girlies, and we want to see and hit every square mile of the parkway.
Absolutely.
So they did it anyways.
Yep. And we started and ended this trip in the national parks. So the beginning of our trip started at the Cades Cove campground, where we celebrated my mom's 50th birthday. And we ended our trip in Shenandoah National Park at the Big Meadows campground. And we did a whole lot in between.
Yes, we did. And we're going to share with you a lot of the things that we did on that in-between time. So, like she said, we started at Cades Cove, which we have hit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on another vlog, so make sure you go check that out on our YouTube page if you want to learn more about that. But we'll just kind of hit the high notes here for that. We did start out there, like we said, we were camping. There are no hookups in that campground, so no water, no electric. They do allow generators in certain loops of the campground, so just make sure you check that out before you book. There's no cell service in that park at all, so that's just something to keep in mind. They do have restrooms, but those restrooms do not have showers. So you need to be prepared when camping in this park if you want those amenities like water and electric and things like that.
Who wants water?
Right.
We don't need that to survive.
That's where we started. That's where we celebrated her mom's 50th birthday, which was a lot of fun. And we started with rain on this trip. So weather's kind of a factor.
Gross, rainy weather. But once we left Cades Cove, one of our first stops, and we're not going to talk about every single overlook that we saw, but one of the first places we stopped was at the Blue Ridge Parkway sign. The entrance sign. There's something making a noise. It made me nervous. It's okay. So we got all of our pictures at the start of the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is in Cherokee, North Carolina. And then one of the first things we did after that was stopping at the highest elevation on the Blue Ridge Motor Road, which is at 6,053 feet.
So our next stop, because I think we did Linville after this next stop. So our next campground stop was at the KOA Asheville West. They do offer full hookup sites. Most, if not all, KOAs do. And this was just a stop where we were just passing through.
Yes. When we got there, our first snafu happened, where we pulled up and they said, "We don't have a reservation for you." But luckily they had an extra site available, and so my mom and dad, we parked their camper there, and it was one of the worst campsites we'd ever parked in. It was muddy. It's probably why it was open and available.
Probably.
Because they were not putting people in it. But since we somehow goofed, they did let us stay in that campsite. Overall, the KOA, I mean, they're always decent places to stay. So
they are.
I can't complain overall.
Right. Yeah. In between this time, one of the stops that we made was to see Linville Falls, which was one of my favorite stops.
Same.
Along the way, we hiked 1.6 miles. That's the total amount, was 1.6 miles round trip to see Linville Falls. It was pet friendly, and you got to see a beautiful waterfall at the end of it.
You did. Evie rode in her little carrier, so she could see it too. She's a big waterfall girly, so she enjoys being carried on hikes, but she loves the waterfalls at the end, which is great.
Okay, another stop that we made was at Craggy Gardens, and it was a little foggy. That stop was a little foggy, but I know for a fact it's a really good stop and an overlook to see beautiful views.
Yes.
You went back.
We went back, and it really was really stunning. There, while we were, there's a gift shop there. That's one of these unofficial visitor centers, because there's maps, there's bathrooms that are open not year round, but there's a stamp you can get there for your book, and then it's a gift shop, so sweatshirts and hats and magnets and pins and whatever else you could think of was there. When we went back, Evie wanted a pair of binoculars, and we told her no, because she has a pair of binoculars, and she stuffed them in her shirt and tried to leave the store with the binoculars in her shirt. And me and my mom noticed it, and we were just giggling, because who does that? We have never stole. We've never stole anything in front of her. So she just decided to steal it. But we went and told her it was wrong and that she had to pay for it. So she ended up getting an extra pair of binoculars because she was so cheeky. It was fun.
Good times. Another stop that we made to spend the night was Stone Mountain State Park. So we try to, when we're camping and making these stops, we do try to stay at the state parks or other parks like that.
Ideally, we would have stayed at one of the 8 campgrounds on the Blue Ridge Parkway. But they were either full, or they were closed, or they were short-staffed because of 2020. So we didn't get to actually stay on any of those.
But I really like this state park, and I would definitely go back and stay there.
Definitely go back to Stone Mountain State Park.
So we did get to see something that maybe we wouldn't have. So Stone Mountain State Park, we saw the stone that is named after from a distance.
Yeah, from the little state park visitor center, you can look off of the back deck and see where the stone is.
Yeah.
It was a stone.
It was. I really liked the campsites. They were nice.
Really loved the campsites.
Yeah.
These were the ones that were paved.
And yes, they were. And
Right?
very level.
Very level. Perfectly
Water and electric.
Mm-hmm. Water and electric.
We got there really late. And that's the night we got in trouble by the boys while we were making dinner. They wanted to bail out and not do the whole Blue Ridge Parkway.
They did. And this was like not too many nights into our trip.
No.
So we were like, no, we're not doing it. That's also, I think, my favorite dinner that we had.
Yes, it was so... Well, I don't know. We had good meals.
We
on
did
that
have good
trip.
meals.
We always do.
So
really,
when we're camping,
yes.
we have good meals
Yeah.
to eat because we can bring our camper. So that night, I don't remember what the main course was. I just remember that there was Mexican street corn.
It was so good.
And it was so good.
It
I don't
was.
remember what we ate with it.
I think pork chops.
Pork
I don't
chops,
know why that's in my mind.
That sounds
but-
right. That's where I was going too. So, pork chops with Mexican street corn.
And it was dark, so...
And it was dark.
It was late.
It was moody outside.
It was.
But it was a really good stop. I would go back.
It was.
That was something we all were like, let's go back to this state park and visit again.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the other really big stops along Blue Ridge Parkway, it's the most photographed spot along the parkway, is the Mabry Mill area. And clearly there's a mill there. It's called the Mabry Mill. Facts. So at Mabry Mill, we stopped, took our pictures in front of the mill, and then there's a whole host of other things there. Like there's a blacksmith shop. There's a couple of other buildings and wooden structures. There's a restaurant there. So that's an area that does get a lot of foot traffic. And there is kind of places to park your truck and your camper. Not great places, but there was availability to park both of those there. So that was pretty cool. And the pictures we took there of ourselves were really pretty. Like the lighting was perfect, the background, all of that is really pretty photography.
Yeah, one of my favorite stops. I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
Next up on our list of places that we stopped and stayed was Mayberry Campground in Mount Airy, North Carolina. And a lot of people go here on day trips and things when they're not doing the Blue Ridge Parkway as well. But this campground was really nice. It had full hookups, level, gravel. But still, it was a good place, a good convenient place to Mount Airy and the things to do in that town. So
it was not a campground that I'd probably say let's go back to. Not because it was dirty or anything, but
I agree.
that's just not our style of camping.
Right. It's not like a state park. It's a campground.
It was a campground resort kind of thing. So the camp spots were closer together. But they did have the best swing set and playground for Evie. And it was decently close to our campsite. And so she went and played on it for a long time and really enjoyed that.
And I think something to note too, like when you're camping on these long trips of 14 days or, you know, these long trips, a lot of times the state parks, which we enjoy staying at, or the national parks don't have laundry services, but your resort parks like this or RV parks like this do. And so I remember us doing laundry there. So that was a nice perk of a place to stay like that. I feel like you have to sprinkle those in sometimes to get those services. So, but very convenient to Mount Airy. And so we went into the town of Mount Airy and went to the Andy Griffith Museum, which was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that museum. It was really cute. And if you love Andy Griffith, you will love it. And even if you don't, I think you would enjoy it. Because I hadn't watched a whole lot of Andy Griffith at that point, but I really enjoyed the museum. I have now.
The museum was cool. Of course, they have a statue of Andy and Opie holding hands outside, and it was really, it was kind of emotional. I don't know. I grew up watching Andy Griffith on TV. So I don't know. It was kind of like, oh, look at that. I made sure to take a picture of the statue because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And then they also have the whole town.
That's what I was going to
really capitalizes on Mayberry. So outside of Opie's candy shop, they have the old sheriff car, and in the like the windscreen for it, it looked like they were all sitting in the car. So we took pictures there. And then in Opie's candy shop, I mean, there's all kinds of candy you can choose from.
Right.
And we probably got it all.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
So, that was a fun stop in that area that I would definitely make sure to visit.
Yeah. The next place that we camped was at Jellystone at Natural Bridge, which is in Virginia. The Jellystone campground itself was kind of cool. In the summer, it would be really awesome.
Yeah.
Because there's a lake, there's water sports, there's all kinds of things you can do. We were there in October. It was a little cold. It was 2020. Our campsites were in like way back in the back. Blake actually switched campsites before they parked because the electric was on the opposite side that it should be on.
Yeah, it was set up.
Which, if you're a campground designer, you would know that usually all of your electric and water hookups are on the driver's side, and theirs was on the passenger side. So it just, all of the cords and things get in the way, especially if you have dogs on leashes that are outside or small kids that are toddling around. And so it's not that it's terrible. It's just a little inconvenient.
Yeah. And for the price that you pay there, you shouldn't have to deal with that.
Yes. Other than that, the campsite people were very attentive. So they made sure that our fire pit was cleaned out. They brought us firewood, and you just tell them like, hey, I need firewood, and then go get it and bring it back.
Yeah, which is nice.
And all of that was nice. I do remember watching them blow leaves across, and that was kind of annoying because why? When no one was using those sites, like we were probably the only 2 campers in the entire campground.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So the Jellystone, it was okay. If you have teenagers, if you like lakes, that would be a really cool place to stay.
Yeah, I think so too. We did get to go to another one of my favorite stops from that campground, which was Natural Bridge State Park. And we hiked to the Natural Bridge, which was around a mile. It was an easy walk.
Yeah.
Really.
There were some stairs. But once you passed them,
it was beautiful. I highly recommend
it really
that
was.
hike. They do charge to get into the state park, so that's something to keep in mind. It's $9 for 13 and over and $6 for 12 and under as of now. But I definitely recommend visiting that park while you're on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Yeah. So Natural Bridge, it's a rock bridge, just like every other natural bridge is. But this one it's really cool because there's a little creek that flows underneath it. So there's a pretty sidewalk that goes up the side. And then at one point you can actually see where George Washington carved his initials into the rock. And that was right after Hamilton was released on Disney Plus. So we were really obsessed with George Washington at that point. And so that area has ties to him. It has ties to Thomas Jefferson. So it was really neat to see those areas that the founding fathers of America were at so many years ago. And after we got back, one of my friends was actually hired to work at Natural Bridge.
Oh, cool.
And so I got to see a lot of behind the scenes pictures.
Cool.
And was it at Natural Bridge? If you kept walking, there was the saltpeter mine.
Yeah, that hike had several different things on it.
Yeah, there was like a bridge that went over the water, a little saltpeter mine. and some wooden structures that were reflective on something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. But you got to see several different things on the hike.
Several different
within
things.
1 mile, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a cool hike.
It was a pretty cool hike. And then the last place we stayed was at the Big Meadows Campground in Shenandoah. There aren't any hookups there. It was fantastic.
It was.
And then we made our way back home. So in between Shenandoah and Virginia, we stopped at Roan Mountain State Park that's in Elizabethton, Tennessee. And so at that state park, they did have water and electric. We stayed in the top loop, and you're camping on the side of a mountain. And so backing into some of these sites is kind of weird because you're backing down a mountain and then parking in a decently level spot. But where we were at, the creek ran down the back of our campsites, and there was it was fall, of course, so there was lots of pretty colors. You backed up to the bank where the river was, so you weren't backed up next to someone else, so it felt really private there.
It did. If you're not great at parking your camper or have a bigger rig, then they do have a lower loop that is really nice and level and down by the creek as well, that I would stay in next time for sure. While we were here, we hiked to Carver's Gap, which is in the Cherokee Pisgah National Forest. Yes. So I couldn't find the length of that hike, and we don't remember. It wasn't terribly long.
It's not terribly long. It might be 2
steep.
miles.
Yeah.
It's along the Appalachian Trail.
And well worth it to see the sunset. It was very pretty.
Yeah.
We didn't necessarily go to see the sunset, but that would be a good spot to see it.
It would be. So Carver's Gap, if you look that up, it's on Andrews Bald, I believe, once you get to the top. And a lot of people that I know have done engagement pictures there, or they've done post-wedding pictures there.
Oh, cool.
Because when you're at the top, it's mountain range after mountain range view. On your way to the top, you kind of snake in and out of like an old growth forest. Like you feel like you're in Twilight.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The
really
Star
pretty.
Wars indoor, I think it's indoor, where the little Ewoks are. That type of forest. So there's lots of moss, and it's kind of dark and moody.
It's really pretty.
And I love it. So that hike is pretty easy. And if you're in Johnson City, Bristol, Elizabethton, it's not that much further to go up there to Roan Mountain State Park.
Yeah. So some things to know when traveling on the Blue Ridge Parkway, especially if you're camping. Know your rig size. So this is important if you're just camping in general, because state parks and national parks tend to have shorter length campsites, and so not everyone's going to fit. So make sure that you know that before you arrive. Most places take reservations ahead of time, but some are first come, first serve. But know your rig size and make sure that you're comfortable with that.
Yep. And that means your length, but in this case, your height as well.
Yes.
So because of the 26 tunnels that are on the parkway, you need to know which ones you can go through and which ones you can't. So the shortest one is called Big Witch Overlook. Well, we missed that overlook because of the tunnel. So we didn't get to go through the tunnel for that one. And then another thing to know there is know your tank capacities and how comfortable you feel with driving on a full tank of water, or where your black tank is. So because a lot of these campsites don't have hookups, if you're planning on camping, make sure you've got what you need.
We spent many hours researching those tunnels. That could be a huge safety hazard. So that's definitely something that you want to pay attention to. We spent lots and lots of time.
We did.
Because once you get there, it would be too late.
Right. Once you get there,
you can't turn around.
You can't turn around. And so I remember trying to measure from the bottom to the top of the air conditioner.
Yes.
Because you can't just measure to the top of your rig. You got to
Yes.
measure to the top of the air conditioner.
Yeah.
So that was a lot.
Know where your dogs are welcome. Oh, sorry.
Absolutely. No,
Go ahead. No, finish yours.
I was going to say the Blue Ridge Parkway is so big and so widely known and so well traveled that there are so many resources.
Yes, there are.
To choose from. Like this episode of this podcast is not going to tell you exactly where to camp and where to go and what to see. But there's a moon guide that does. And it takes you mile marker by mile marker. So all of your overlooks and all of your stops on the Blue Ridge Parkway are listed by the mile marker. And so you'll need to know where you're at, and you can find that with the mile marker signs. And so all the overlooks, the tunnels, all of those things, you'll know when they're coming up, so you can either avoid them or go through them depending on what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry I interrupted you.
Oh, you're good.
But know where your dogs are welcome. So the Blue Ridge Parkway is very dog friendly. We took our dogs. All of the campgrounds I listed are pet friendly. We took them on a couple of different hikes, but there are a lot of times that national park hikes are not pet friendly. So make sure that you pay attention to that and respect those rules when you're traveling. They were able to hike did we take them on a hike? I don't think we did.
I don't remember.
We didn't take them to Linville Falls. No, we did take them to Linville Falls. Yes. So they hiked.
It was muddy.
Because I have a picture of Boomer and Blake that I love. So they did Linville Falls. They did not do a couple of the other ones. So, but just be aware of where your dogs can and cannot go. And then know what amenities your campground offers. So do they have water? If they don't have a water hookup, do they have a place for you to fill your tank? Do they have electric? If not, do they allow generators? Things like that, because that can be tricky on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
And one of the things, where your dog's welcome, but also what is appropriate for your children.
Yeah. So
with Evie, she was 1.5, so it was really easy to throw her in a backpack and go on a hike. Okay, not a backpack. We didn't throw her in a backpack. We have one of those, the Lilla Baby carriers. Those are my favorite. The all-weather, to be specific. She was young enough that we could throw her in there, and she enjoyed the hike. She would take a nap and be okay. But some places, like the Linville Caverns or any other cave tours, or the Hawksbill hike in Shenandoah, those are some really sketchy places to take your kids, and sometimes they don't allow carriers in places, or if it is a really high mountaintop, make sure that you feel comfortable and safe standing and hiking with your kid.
Yeah. Okay, our favorite park story. So I will let you start with Bear Stick.
Okay. We are very much leave it as you find it people.
Yeah. She trained me.
Trained her well.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that there was this really cool stick. And it looked like a bear.
It did.
It looked just like a bear. And we picked it up and we were like, we should keep this. And they were like, but we can't keep it.
When she says we, it was her. She means she wanted to keep it, and I had to remind her of her rules that she taught me. Yes. You cannot take it.
We cannot
leave it as you find it.
You cannot take it. One of the famous quotes is take only pictures,
leave only footprints.
Leave only footprints. And as much as I want to love that quote, it also gets on my nerves, because don't leave footprints either.
True.
If you're supposed to stay on your trail, stay on your trail.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's just a funny story, because I tell Sheree all the time, like, you can't pick that flower. You got to leave it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's a stick. You can't have that, Cheyenne. So I didn't get it. That's okay.
So one of my favorite stories or favorite moments from that trip, and favorite moments from a lot of our trips. So oftentimes when we're in these parks, there's not restaurants. You know, there's not a McDonald's as much as Blake would want there to be. On
Blake and Evie.
On every corner. So a lot of times we purchase a cooler and fill it up and use it when necessary. So on this trip we had our campers. So we pulled over at this overlook parking area, and the weather was perfect. It was sunny and it was cool and the fall colors, and we all got to go into our campers and make our sandwiches and chips and take it out on our little paper plates and sit and look over this beautiful overlook at the mountains together with family / besties and just have our lunch. And it's just such a nice moment because we've done this many places. We sit and eat such a plain Jane meal that we've put together, but we're like looking at the most beautiful views. We did that at Yellowstone Lake.
We did that.
And many different places.
I often take pictures of my sandwiches.
I do too.
With the background.
Yes.
So we were looking through our pictures, and there was it was a ham sandwich. Those are the best. Chipped ham, specifically.
PB&J.
So all of the pictures of our food,
or Uncrustables,
stunning, with these stunning backgrounds. And Sheree and Blake were sitting there eating their sandwich, and I just took a picture of them, and I sent it to her, but I also kept it on my phone because it's just a sweet picture of enjoying time together. Like, you're sitting on the side of a road eating a sandwich, looking at row after row after row of these beautiful mountains. There are some people that are going to call these rolling hills because they are not jagged like the Rocky Mountains, which is true. But to that I say, it's because we're millions of years older. So, suck on that. You know, our mountains are better. It's okay. It's okay.
It's just a simple moment. It's nothing fancy, but we're together. We're talking about our trip so far, what we have ahead of us, and so we enjoy those moments.
We do. So, I kind of spoiled your what are you going to do when you go back.
That's okay. So when we go back, I want to go to Linville Caverns. We weren't able to because we were having trouble getting off the parkway with the campers and like where we were going to park and things like that, where we were going to leave them. So when we go back, I would love to go to Linville Caverns and take a cave tour.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
When we go back, I would like to plan our trip differently.
Yeah.
So I would like to drive into Asheville and stay for 3 or 4 nights and do all of the things in and around Asheville. And then drive up to wherever, Roanoke, and spend 3 or 4 nights in Roanoke and do the things that are around there. Yeah. And then hit some of the other small things or big things that we missed.
That's not something that I feel like we were prepared for when we went on this trip, or didn't expect maybe, was the fact that we had to leave our camper somewhere. Oftentimes we stayed one night, so checkout times, things like that, you can't just leave it until whenever you want. And then we were moving, or it would be a long ways away. You couldn't just unhook and run down and come back. So we thoroughly explored the Blue Ridge Parkway, in my opinion. But some of the things that we had planned off the Blue Ridge Parkway, like Linville Caverns or other, Blowing Rock, I think was one. Yeah. We just weren't able to hit. And that's just something that we learned from doing this trip.
We did learn.
We did
learn that. We learned something. So, when it comes to park tips, these are going to be things like, take your camera. There's beautiful fall colors. There's beautiful sunrises. There's beautiful sunsets.
Gorgeous sunsets.
Any iconic image that you can think of the Blue Ridge Mountains, they're really blue. They really are different shades of blue as they go back. And it's just stunning to look at.
Something else, pack your hiking boots. There's a lot of great hikes on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Lots of them.
And don't bring just one pair of hiking boots. So there's a lot of water here. So I mean, bring your hiking boots, but also bring your wet weather hiking boots too.
That's a good tip. Yeah.
Or your trail running shoes. You know, there's a
Right.
Could you get away with one set of hiking boots? Absolutely. Could you get away with tennis shoes? Probably. Sheree couldn't. Tyler couldn't. But like me and Blake, we could probably wear tennis shoes. I know.
Tyler.
Shady. Anyways.
Yeah.
There's so many things that happen in and around the Blue Ridge Parkway as well. There's tons of festivals. There's a lot of music stuff that happens there too. You know, Built More at Christmas.
Yeah,
There's
so many
a
things.
Old Fiddlers music festival. There's going to be apple picking in the fall. There's so many things that you can do. So if you want to go to those, plan it around them. And if you don't want to deal with the amount of people that are there because of those, plan around them. So that's something to be on the lookout for.
So that concludes part 1 of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Like we said, we are going to do a part 2 of all the things. Do you have something here you're going to share? Okay.
I have pulled up our itinerary.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm just going to read it to you because this is how ridiculous Cheyenne and Sheree are when we plan something. Okay.
We have big goals.
We have big, lofty
goals.
So, Thursday, October 8th, we left home at 6 p.m. We arrived at Cades Cove Campground at 7 p.m. and we ate dinner. On the 9th, we had breakfast, lunch, dinner, and cake. On the 10th, which was Saturday, we did Cades Cove Loop. We were supposed to find the Pearl Harbor tree, but didn't. We checked out. We missed the Big Witch overlook. Missed due to tunnel height. Then we went to the Richland Balsam overlook, the Looking Glass overlook, Cold Mountain overlook. We checked in at the KOA West Asheville. We tried to go to the Blue Ridge Parkway Visitor Center, but I don't think we made it in time. Did we? I don't remember.
I feel like we did.
You think we did? Well, we might have.
But I could be wrong.
We might have. On the 11th, we left the KOA, went to the Craggy Pinnacle Trail, which we did not hike because it was so foggy. Then we saw the Mount Mitchell Summit Trail. We thought about going there, but we did not make it to Mount Mitchell because it was so foggy. There was no point in doing that. We saw the Linville Gorge, Linville Falls. We didn't make it to Linville Caverns or Blowing Rock. There's also a Mast General Store, and then Stone Mountain State Park. On Monday, we went to the Stone Mountain Overlook. We saw Pilot Mountain, went to Mayberry, stayed at Mayberry Campground. On Tuesday, we went to Short Star Trail, which we did not end up doing. And then there's things on here, like this whole day on Tuesday was a wash for us because it was things that were in the city and we couldn't park. Yeah. And so we knew that we couldn't park there. So we didn't do the Short Star Trail, which is the Star in Roanoke. I wanted to go to the chocolate paper place, the pinball museum.
Yeah.
There's a railroad overlook. Like, so we kind of missed all of that because we didn't think through where are we going to park the campers. Wednesday, Natural Bridge, Jellystone, ate breakfast, Natural Bridge, George Washington carving. And there's things on here that I don't even remember. Black Rock Summit, Rapidan. I don't remember either of those things. And we got to Shenandoah. On Thursday at Shenandoah, there was a couple different hikes that we wanted to do. We were going to go to Luray Caverns. Didn't get to. But we did do the Hawksbill hike. There's so many things on here that you could have done. The next day, we stayed at Shenandoah. Drove down into Roan Mountain and got home. So there's all kinds of things that we wanted to do, that we thought we should do that, we should see there, but didn't end up doing, or we were so tired, or we spent so much time at an overlook that we really liked that we didn't get to do other things. Yeah. So having a plan A, knowing that you're going to go with plan B, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's how we plan and then kind of go with the flow on all of our park trips, really.
Yeah. I mean, we have lots of options just in case we have extra time, but if we don't hit them all, the majority of the time, we're okay with it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is fine, but like, yeah, it does, because we know we can go back and do those things off of the parkway. You just have to go with the flow, and you live and you learn.
Yep.
So the blog post this week is going to be on camping the Blue Ridge Parkway and navigating the Blue Ridge Parkway with dogs. That will be posted tomorrow. And we would love for you to follow us on all of our platforms. That's a great way to support us. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So we would love for you to join us there if you don't already.
Absolutely. And join our private Facebook group so we can share our travel plans and share your travel plans and talk about where should we go next, and what parks we should cover next. Or if you have a really great park story, you can be a guest on here and share that story with us.
And we hope you will join us on our next live, which is going to be on February 27th. And that's when we are going to do part 2 of the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Probably.
And go over things to do off the parkway, like we were talking about.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. And I think that's it.
Okay. Thanks for joining us. Oh, we have a comment to read.
Oh, it's from Abby.
Oh,
she said, "Beauty queens,
sweet.
Love catching you guys talking about your park adventures.
We love you.
I love you, Abby."
Okay. Until next time, let's go to the park.
Let's go. Let's